Right at the beginning, when you enter the user interface, you will see an interface like this. At the top, there will be System Status. The first thing you'll notice is an icon named Internet. After that, you'll see an icon named Client, and by clicking on it, you can check how many users are connected to your router. If you scroll down a bit, you'll come across the status section. The first thing you'll notice is Internet Connected, if your internet is already set up. Just below that, you'll see Work Mode, Wireless Router, which means the router is running in router mode. Then, you'll find Interface with 1 written beside it, showing that the router is connected through a cable in 1 mode. And right at the bottom, there's a handy quick setup option for easy configuration. The next option is Mesh. Under this section, the status is shown, with the value Sol. Below that, the device name is displayed, showing the name of the device. If your mesh network is connected, this information will be visible here. Following that, the mesh unit field is displayed with a numeric value beside it. When you go inside more detail, you'll see a lot of useful information. The device's model number, its name, the IP address it's connected through, the MAC address of the device, and also the firmware version. On the right side, there's an Add button, and if you click it, you can easily add more devices. Next, you'll see the device option. Here, you can check how many devices are connected to your router in total. It also shows how many are connected on the 2.4 GHz Wi-Fi. And below that, you'll see how many devices are connected on the 5 GHz Wi-Fi. When you go into the More Device option, under Status, you'll see, under Device, it shows that 1 device is connected. In the 2.4 GHz Wi-Fi signal, it shows no devices connected. In the 5 GHz Wi-Fi signal, it also shows no devices connected. Then, in the 6 GHz Wi-Fi signal, you'll again see no devices connected. Finally, under Wired Connection, it shows that 1 device is connected via cable. Inside the Device option, you'll get a detailed view of each connected device. You can check the device's hostname, IP address, and MAC address. You'll also see its real-time bandwidth usage. If it's connected over Wi-Fi, you can even see how strong the signal is. It also shows how long the device has been connected. From here, you can do more than just monitor. You can turn a device's internet connection on or off. You can also enable or disable VPN service for that specific device. Under the Operation option, you can rename the device. And with the rate limit feature, you can set how much bandwidth the device is allowed to use. The next option is WAN. Here, you'll see the status marked as connected, which means the internet is already set up. If no internet connection was configured, it wouldn't show as connected. The protocol shows DHCP, meaning the router is connected in dynamic mode. You'll also notice an IP address, which is the one your ISP has assigned for internet access. And if you click on more detail, you can see even more information about the connection. Here, you'll notice the protocol is set to dynamic mode, DHCP. Right below, you'll see the connection time. Then, the amount of data used for upload and download is shown. You'll also find the MAC address that's being used for this connection. Next is the public IP, which shows the IP address provided by your ISP. If your connection is using a public IP, it will appear here as a public IP. After that, you'll see the IP address your router is currently using to access the internet. The subnet mask is displayed next. And at the very end, you'll find the gateway address. Inside the WAN mode settings, you'll be able to set up your internet connection. Here, you'll find different protocols like dynamic, DHCP, static, and PPPoE. If you want, you can even create a secondary connection from this menu. Right now, as you can see, the router is connected to the internet in dynamic mode, DHCP. In the LAN service section, you'll notice the status is marked as enabled, meaning it's currently active. You can also see the local IP address and the MAC address. If you go into more settings, you'll see the same details again, but this time with the subnet mask included. And if you open the local area settings, you'll be able to change the IP address and set a new one for your LAN. Update the subnet mask. Adjust the IP range so it matches properly with your IP setup. Next is the wireless 2.4G option. Here, you'll see the status is enabled, meaning the Wi-Fi is active. You'll also find the SSID, the Wi-Fi network name. And right below, it shows which channel is being used. If you click on More Settings, you'll see the same info again, plus a few extras. The wireless security options, the SSID's MAC address, and the channel width, shown in MHZ. Now let's head into the Settings menu and check out how to configure the Wi-Fi options. Here, you'll see both 2.4 GHz and 5 GHz settings listed. Let's start with the 2.4 GHz Wi-Fi. First, you'll notice wireless 2.4G is enabled, it's ticked. Right below, there's the SSID, which is your Wi-Fi name. You can change it if you like. Then you have the encryption options. Just pick the one you prefer. After that, set your Wi-Fi password under the password option. Now, if we move into the advanced options, you'll find network mode. I suggest keeping it on the default mode because if you change it, some devices may not connect properly. Next is the channel width, which is set to auto by default. It's best to leave it on auto for stable performance. Then comes the channel option. It's also on auto, but if you want, you can select the highest channel or scan for unused channels in your area to get better results. Transmit power is another setting. If you want maximum coverage, set it to maximum. But if you only plan to use it within your home, you can set it to minimum. The max station option is there too, but I don't really recommend using it unless you have a special reason. There's also hidden network. If you turn this on, your Wi-Fi won't be visible, but sometimes it makes connecting devices harder. Use it only if you really want your network hidden. Finally, there's separate client, which lets you assign separate networks to your clients for added control. Alright, now let's move on to the 5 GHz wireless settings. At the very top, you'll see an on/off switch. With this, you can simply turn your 5 GHz Wi-Fi signal on or off. If you only need 2.4 GHz, you can keep that enabled. But for faster speed and better performance, I recommend keeping 5 GHz turned on. Next, we have the SSID, that's your Wi-Fi name. Here you can set a custom name, for example my home Wi-Fi 5G. Then comes the encryption option. This is your Wi-Fi security type. It's best to leave it as the default, usually WPA2 or WPA3 for maximum security. After that, you'll find the password setting. From here, you can create a strong Wi-Fi password. I suggest mixing numbers, letters, and special characters, something like ABC at 12345. Gear # advanced settings. Now, let's check the advanced settings. First is the mode. This allows you to select the signal mode. I recommend leaving it on the default setting because sometimes changing it may cause older devices not to connect. Next, you'll see channel width. For higher speed, you can choose 80 MHz or even 160 MHz. But if you're not sure, just leave it on auto, the router will pick the best option. Then comes the channel option. Auto mode usually works best, but if your area is crowded with many Wi-Fi networks, you can manually select a free channel for better performance. After that, there's transmit power or distance. If you keep it on maximum, the Wi-Fi range will be longer, but your speed might slightly drop. For home use, medium or low power is usually the best choice. Next is max station. This lets you limit how many devices can connect at once. It's optional. Most home users don't need this. Then we have hidden network. Turning this on will hide your Wi-Fi name from others. It can improve privacy, but it also makes connecting new devices a little tricky. Finally, there's the separate client option. If you turn this on, devices connected to your Wi-Fi won't be able to communicate with each other. This isn't necessary for home users, but it can be useful for office or public networks. Now let's take a quick look at the 6 GHz wireless settings. At the top, you'll see the on/off switch. You can enable or disable the 6 GHz band from here. Next is the SSID, which is just your Wi-Fi name. Feel free to set a custom name like my Wi-Fi 6G. Then we have encryption. Leave it as the default for strong security. Right below that, you'll find the password option. Create a strong and unique password before saving. In the advanced settings, you'll see options for channel width, channel, and transmit power. For best performance, just leave them on auto. Finally, you'll notice hidden network and separate client. These are optional features. Most home users don't need them. MLO, multi-link operation, is a new feature in Wi-Fi 7. It allows your device to use multiple Wi-Fi bands, 2.4 GHz, 5 GHz, and 6 GHz, at the same time. This means faster speeds, lower latency, and more stable connections, especially in crowded networks. How it works here. You'll see a switch MLO network. You can turn it on or off. When turned on, your Wi-Fi 7 devices can send and receive data across multiple channels simultaneously. After enabling, just click Save and Apply to activate it. Turning on MLO gives you the full benefit of Wi-Fi 7, combining multiple frequency bands for the best performance. Here you can see there's a 5 GHz wireless settings option and also a 6 GHz wireless settings option. Now, I've already explained these settings earlier in detail, so I won't go over them again separately. When you open them from here, you'll see the same settings as before. That's why I'm skipping these parts now to save time. Now, as you can see, this router also comes with a VPN option. Let's go ahead and explore what's inside and check out the available VPN settings. Here, you can see that a VPN connection is already active. The protocol being used is PPTP. Right next to it, you'll notice the server it's connected to, basically the tunnel through which the VPN is running. Along with that, you can also see the server's IP address displayed here. On this page, you can set up your VPN connection. Let's go through the options one by one. Enable. At the very top, you'll see a switch to enable or disable VPN. If it's turned on, your router will route traffic through the VPN. Protocol. This is the most important option. Here, you can choose which VPN protocol to use. The Cudy router supports multiple options. PPTP client, PPTP server, simple but older protocol, easy to set up but not very secure. L2TP client, L2TP server, a bit more secure than PPTP, often used with IPsec. OpenVPN client, OpenVPN server, a popular and very secure VPN protocol, recommended for most users. WireGuard client, WireGuard server, modern, lightweight, and fast VPN protocol. Best choice for speed plus security. ZeroTier slave, ZeroTier master, used for creating virtual private networks across multiple devices and locations. IPsec, site-to-site, best for connecting two different networks securely, like office-to-office or home-to-office. Default rule. Lets you define how traffic should be handled, e.g., route all traffic through VPN or only specific traffic. Site-to-site. This option is available when you want to connect two networks via VPN directly. VPN policy. Allows you to control which devices or traffic should use the VPN and which should bypass it. Server address. This is where you enter your VPN server's IP or domain name provided by your VPN provider. Username and password. Your login credentials for the VPN account. These are required for authentication. Encryption. A toggle option to enable encryption. Always keep this on for better security. Status. Shows the current connection status, connected, disconnected, or error. Save and apply. Once you've entered all details, click this button to activate the VPN connection. For speed plus security, use WireGuard. For compatibility, use OpenVPN. Avoid PPTP unless you must use it for older systems. Next, we have the DHCP server option. Here you can see the status is enabled, and by default, it's always kept enabled. Now, what does this mean? White right pointing backhand index, the DHCP server is what automatically assigns IP addresses to the devices connected to your router, so you don't have to set them manually. Here you'll notice a few key fields. Start IP address, this is the first IP number that the DHCP server will hand out to devices. End IP address, this is the last IP number in the range. So basically, the router will assign addresses starting from the start IP up to this end IP. If we go into more details, you'll see additional options, like lease time and other advanced DHCP settings, which give you more control over how IPs are managed. Now, if we go inside the DHCP lease section, we'll see a list of all the devices currently connected to the router. Here's what you'll find. IP address, the specific IP assigned to each device by the DHCP server. MAC address, this is the unique hardware ID of the device's network card. Hostname, the name of the device itself, like your phone, laptop, or smart TV, so you can easily identify which device is using which IP. This is super useful because it lets you keep track of all devices on your network at a glance. If you need, You can even use these details to assign a static IP to certain devices for more stability. Now let's check out the DHCP server settings. Here you can see the DHCP server is enabled by default, and I recommend keeping it that way. This means your router will automatically assign IP addresses to all the devices that connect. Next, we have the IP start option. This is simply the starting point for IP addresses. For example, here it starts from 192.168.1010. Then comes the limit. This defines how many devices can get IPs. In this case, with a limit of 241, the router can assign addresses up to 0.251. Below that, you'll see preferred DNS and alternate DNS. These are optional. You can put custom DNS servers like Google's 8.8 and 8.4.4, or just leave them blank to use the router's default. And finally, the lease time option. This controls how long a device keeps its assigned IP before the router can give it a new one. For example, here it's set to 120 minutes. Once you're done, just click Save and Apply, and all your changes will take effect. Now we've moved into the System tab. Here you can see the firmware version, along with the local time and the uptime of your router. If we go into more details, it shows us the same firmware version again under Historic version, followed by the model number, hardware version, local time, and uptime. Basically the same info we saw earlier but in more detail. Next, if we click on Statistics, we get a full overview of the router's bandwidth usage. You can check which interface or which Wi-Fi band is sending or receiving data, and how much bandwidth is being used. Then we have the ARP table. From here, you can see all the devices connected to your network, their IP addresses, the protocols they're using, along with their MAC address and host name. After that comes IP routes. This shows all the routes your router is using, including static routes and any VPN routes. You'll know exactly which IPs are being accessed through which routes. And finally, there's the system log. This is very important for both the router and the user. If you ever need to check what's happening with your router, you can download the log file from here or even save it directly to your log server for future reference. Next, let's take a look at the quick setup option of the router. Here, you can set up your router in two different ways. First, you can use it as a normal wireless router by simply connecting it through a cable, just like any standard router setup. Second, you can configure it as a wireless access point. This can be done either through a cable or completely wirelessly. In this mode, the router will take internet from another router and then share it through this one. Basically, it works like a secondary router to extend your internet coverage. Now, let's start with the first option, setting it up as a wireless router. First, we need to identify our location. After that, the router will ask us what type of internet connection we want to use. Most internet service providers usually use PPPoE. Many ISPs also provide dynamic IP connections, which you can choose if you're carrying internet from another router. If your ISP provides you with a static IP, then you'll need to enter the static IP details they've given you here, so the connection can be set up properly. Besides these, you'll also find other internet protocols like L2TP and PPTP, which you can use if required. There's also an option to enable a secondary connection for backup. Once that is done, the next step is setting up the wireless network. Since we've already explained wireless setup in detail earlier, I'll just keep this part short here. Here you'll see the same wireless settings we discussed earlier. You can check the network names for 2.4G, 5G, and 6G Wi-Fi, and here you also have options to set the SSID, encryption type, and password for each of them. Make sure to fill in everything correctly, then click on the next option. After that, you'll be taken to the review page. As you can see, once you hit Save and Apply, your router's basic setup will be complete, and you'll be ready to use your router. The options we just discussed with you individually in detail are again shown here inside the general settings. For example, from here you can also set up internet settings through WAN mode, customize Wi-Fi signals, and change the password using the wireless icon. You can also see a VPN option here. The same VPN settings I explained earlier are available here as well, and you can configure or customize them from this section too. Now, about the captive portal. In short, you can use it for hotspot services, for radius server integration, and in many other ways. Usually, it works really well for places like coffee shops, offices, or restaurants where hotspots are used. Those who work with hotspots already know how to set it up. For people with advanced internet engineering knowledge, this will be quite easy to understand. Since I don't fully understand it myself, I'd like to skip explaining this part in detail. Next, you'll see the firmware option. From here, if you keep the auto update enabled, the firmware will automatically update. If you want online updates, you can simply check for updates online, and it will download and install directly. There's also another option where you can manually download the firmware file from the internet and then upload it here to update the system manually. The next option is Parental Control. Here you'll need to create a profile. I'll try to show you this feature in detail later in the video. Network settings, one of the most important sections, because it controls how your devices connect to the internet and how data flows through your home network. First, we have an. This is where you can configure your router's internal IP address, subnet, and local network range. Basically, it defines how your devices communicate with each other inside your home. Next is the guest network. If you often have visitors, this feature allows you to create a completely separate Wi-Fi for them. This keeps your main network safe, because guests won't have access to your personal devices. Then we see the DHCP server option. Most users keep this enabled, because it automatically assigns IP addresses to all connected devices, saving you from the hassle of setting them manually. IPv6 comes next. Many internet providers around the world are now moving to IPv6 for faster speeds and larger address capacity. If your ISP supports it, you can enable it here. IGMP is mainly useful for IPTV services. It helps manage multicast traffic efficiently, which means smoother video streaming without buffering. Closely related to this is the IPTV VLAN option. Some service providers require VLAN tagging for IPTV, so you can configure those settings in this section. Moving on, we have QoS, or Quality of Service. This is a very handy feature because it allows you to prioritize bandwidth for certain devices or applications. For example, you can make sure your gaming PC or streaming device always gets the best speed. With custom DNS, you can replace your ISP's DNS with a faster or more secure option, like Google DNS or Cloudflare. This can improve browsing speed and security. Next is DDNS, or Dynamic DNS. This feature is very useful if you want to access your home network remotely. Instead of remembering changing IP addresses, you can use a simple domain name. Then we see static routing. This is an advanced option that lets you manually control the path data takes within your network. It's especially useful in complex setups or office environments. Now let's talk about port forwarding and port triggering. These are critical for gamers, server hosts, or anyone who needs remote access to applications. Port forwarding opens specific ports permanently, while port triggering opens them only when needed. DMZ, or Demilitarized Zone, allows you to put one device outside the firewall for full internet access. This should only be used when absolutely necessary, because it reduces security. We also have online detection. This feature simply checks if your internet connection is active and helps diagnose connectivity issues quickly. Another advanced feature is TTL, or Time to Live Control. Some ISPs require modifications in TTL values for stable connectivity, and this option lets you handle that. Wake on LAN is another powerful tool. It allows you to turn on a computer or server remotely as long as it's connected to the router. Very useful for remote work or file access. And finally, UPnP, which stands for Universal Plug and Play. With this enabled, apps and games can automatically open ports when they need them, making things much easier for users who don't want to configure settings manually. So as you can see, the Cudy router provides a wide range of network management tools. Whether you're a beginner or an advanced user, these options give you full control over how your network performs and how secure it is. Let's check out the security options. Imagine you want to keep unwanted visitors out of your network. That's where the firewall comes in. It acts like a gatekeeper, blocking harmful or suspicious traffic. Next, the MAC filter. Think of it as a VIP list. You can choose exactly which devices are allowed to connect, and keep unknown devices out. The IP filter and domain filter give you even more control. For example, if you want to block specific websites or stop access to certain IP addresses, you can do it right here. Then there's IP MAC binding. This feature makes sure that every device sticks to its assigned IP address, preventing spoofing and keeping your network stable. WPS is also here. It lets you connect new devices quickly with just a push of a button, no password needed. And if you want your Wi-Fi to turn off automatically at night, or during study hours, the Wi-Fi schedule feature is perfect for that. Lastly, ALG helps applications like VoIP or online gaming run smoothly without connection issues. Right pointing backhand index. Now let's talk about the system section. First up is system time. Keeping the correct date and time helps with logs, schedules, and events. Then we have firmware update. Always keep your router updated. It's like giving your device new armor against bugs and security threats. The backup and restore option is a lifesaver. You can save your current settings and bring them back anytime, especially useful if you reset or upgrade your router. Under Administration and Admin Account, you can manage login details and user access. This step is super important to prevent anyone else from messing with your settings. You also get a language option, so you can use the interface in your preferred language. There are also some extra handy tools. Timed Reboot lets you schedule automatic restarts, while Reboot does it instantly. This helps keep your router running smoothly. Reset takes the router back to factory defaults if you need a fresh start. With LED control, you can turn off the lights on your router, perfect if it's in your bedroom and you don't want those blinking LEDs at night. And finally, TR069, which is mostly used by ISPs for remote management. The first option is Diagnosis. This runs a quick check of your network and identifies if there are any issues with the connection. Next, we have Ping. This tool allows you to test the connectivity between your router and a specific server or website, making it easy to verify if your internet is working properly. Then there is Traceroute. This shows the exact path your data takes to reach a destination server. It's especially useful for detecting where delays or connection drops are happening along the route. We also have NSLookup. This tool helps you test DNS resolution and confirm whether domain names are correctly translating into IP addresses. Finally, the system log provides a detailed record of your router's activities and any error messages. This is an advanced option, mainly used when you need to dig deeper into network problems. Overall, these diagnostic tools are very effective for monitoring your connection and solving network issues without needing any third-party software.